Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into it, taking a sledgehammer, you could say, to those internal walls that stop us. That gap between wanting to do something great and actually doing it.
Yeah, if you feel you have a calling, maybe it's a book, maybe starting a business, or even just a fitness goal, but you always find yourself stuck in procrastination, maybe some self-doubt.
No,
This is for you.
definitely. We're pulling our insights today straight from Steven Pressfield's playbook, especially his big one, The War of Art.
And what's really compelling about his perspective, I think, is where he comes from. He wasn't some lifelong, delicate artist type.
Not at all. Published his first novel at 52, right? After being a Marine reservist, doing hard physical jobs.
Exactly. That background, it gives him this really unique, almost blue-collar approach to creativity. It's practical.
So our mission today is to pull out those concrete, battle-tested tools he offers and the whole philosophical frame for beating what he calls resistance with a capital R.
Yeah, and this isn't about just feeling inspired. It's tactical. It's about shifting to what he calls a professional mindset. And, the best part, it doesn't cost a dime.
Okay, so let's start right there then. Defining this resistance. What is it?
Well, he paints it as this insidious force, almost like gravity, but internal. It's what stops us from being focused, creative, productive.
And it shows up as procrastination, distraction.
All of that.
Yeah.
Procrastination, distraction, that crippling self-doubt, the need for everything to be perfect before you even start, and definitely that urge to just quit when things get tough.
But here's the twist, the paradox he builds everything on, and this is kind of the core idea you need to grab onto.
Yeah.
Resistance isn't a sign you're on the wrong track. He says it's proof you're on the right one.
Absolutely. He puts it very clearly. The more important project is to your soul's evolution, he says, the stronger the resistance will be.
Soul's evolution. He's not talking about money or fame here.
No, not commercial success. He's talking about the work that's actually essential to, who you are becoming, the deep stuff.
Okay, so practically speaking, say you have 3 or 4 ideas floating around, projects you could do.
Right.
And one of them just fills you with anxiety, makes your palm sweat, makes you want to, I don't know, check your email for the 10th time instead of thinking about it.
That's the one. Pressfield would say, choose that one. The fear is the resistance.
Yeah.
And it's pointing you towards the work with the highest value for you.
He uses a great visual for this, doesn't he? The tree analogy.
Oh, yeah, the tree in the shadow. Imagine your dream, that big project or calling, as this huge tree standing in a field.
Okay.
The resistance you feel, that anxiety, that doubt, it's just the shadow cast by that tree.
And they're proportional. Big tree, big shadow.
Exactly. So when you feel that crushing doubt, that massive wave of, I can't do this, don't take it as a stop sign. He's saying, take it as proof. Wow, I have a big dream here, a big tree.
Which is actually good news. It means the work matters.
Right. But now you've got to actually do it. You have to face that shadow.
So how do you fight this thing, this resistance that's actively trying to sabotage you?
That's where the second big idea comes in. You make the mindset flip. You decide to turn pro.
Amateur versus professional, this is central to his whole thing.
It is, and it's purely a choice, a cognitive shift. But the habits, the day-to-day reality, are worlds apart.
So the amateur, they're run by feelings.
Totally. The amateur's always checking their internal weather report. Do I feel inspired today? I don't feel like getting out of bed for this. They wait for the muse. They take everything personally, success, failure, criticism.
And when things get hard,
They fold. Because their identity is all wrapped up in the outcome. If it doesn't work, they are a failure.
Okay, contrast that with the professional.
The professional gets it. It's a job. They show up every single day.
Yeah.
They put in the hours, whether it's 2 or 4 or 8. And crucially, they don't care how they feel.
They play hurt, like those athletes, Kobe or Jordan, playing through injuries.
Exactly. That's the visible dramatic version.
Yeah.
But the writer showing up with a head cold, the entrepreneur pushing forward when the market's tanking, that's the daily grind of the professional. They expect adversity as part of the territory.
And this ties back to his military background, right? The Marines.
Directly. He explicitly says the virtues he learned there, stubbornness, patience, selflessness, courage, just embracing the suck, you know? Those are the exact same virtues you need for this inner battle, the war of art. It's about discipline.
Yeah.
Showing up, doing the reps, regardless.
There's a really interesting psychological tool he offers for making this shift. This idea of reframing your identity.
Ah, the corporation idea. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's about that. You need a buffer, right? Between your sensitive, creative self and the, let's face it, often brutal realities of putting work out there.
Precisely. He suggests thinking of yourself or your creative endeavor as a sort of corporation, like writing services, Inc., or whatever fits.
So you become the CEO.
You're the CEO, the professional. You assign the work, you set the deadlines, you analyze the feedback, the market results, the person actually doing the creative work. Yeah. You're like an employee fulfilling a contract for the CEO.
Okay, I see. So when that manuscript gets rejected or the product doesn't sell?
The CEO doesn't take it personally. The CEO looks at the data. Okay, Project Alpha didn't hit the targets. Analyze why. Assign Project Beta for tomorrow. It protects the creative core, the soul, by separating it from the business end.
That's a powerful mental separation. It keeps the professional driving forward, no matter the emotional bumps.
Exactly. It's a mechanism for resilience.
So once you've adopted that pro mindset, we get down to the nuts and bolts, the actual work session. And for Pressfield, it starts surprisingly early, hours before the real work.
Right, with physical discipline. That famous 4.45 a.m. gym routine.
Which isn't just for health, he says.
No, he sees it as a rehearsal.
Yeah.
It's practice for facing the resistance he knows he'll encounter later when he sits down to write. By tackling something hard, physically demanding, first thing. He gets a small win under his belt, builds momentum. He feels like, okay, I did that. Sitting down to write seems less daunting by comparison.
Interesting, setting the tone for the day. Now, speaking of the writing itself, he mentioned a change in his own process over time. Used to be 4 hours, now often just 2.
Yeah, he finds he can get the same amount done, essentially. It's about intensity, not just duration.
So, better focus, working harder.
Pretty much. As you get better at something, you recruit the mental resources more efficiently. That intense, focused 2 hours can be more productive and honestly more draining than 4 hours of just sort of being there half distracted.
Which leads to the environment. It
Yeah.
needs to support that intensity. Strict rules, right?
Oh yeah, no internet, no music distractions, phone off, or maybe just used for dictation if an idea pops up. Very locked down.
Okay, but then there's the chair thing. He prefers an uncomfortable chair. That sounds, well, kind of masochistic, doesn't it? Especially now we know about ergonomics and all that.
It does sound odd, I get it. But his argument is that deep comfort can actually be another form of resistance. It makes you complacent.
How?
If you're totally physically comfortable, maybe too comfortable, your brain gets focused on that pleasant sensory input. He wants zero external distraction. An okay chair, maybe even slightly uncomfortable, forces your focus inward, where the creative battle is happening. It's about prioritizing internal focus over external ease.
Okay. Reframing comfort as a potential distraction. That makes more sense. So inside that focus session, how do you beat the biggest enemy for many creators? Perfectionism. That inner critic.
He's got some specific tactics for that. Rules for the process. First, no noodling. Don't obsess over single sentences or paragraphs in the first pass. Just get it down. Keep moving.
Because it's just the first draft.
Exactly. And rule 2 relates to that. Think in multiple drafts. He aims for like 13 to 15 drafts.
Wow, 13 to 15.
Yeah. Knowing that takes immense pressure off that first messy draft. Its only job is to exist.
Okay, what else?
Rule 3. Never read what you wrote that day when you finish the session. Step away. Leave it completely until tomorrow.
Avoids immediate judgment and second guessing.
Right. And rule 4, his trick for stopping work, is brilliant. Stop mid-flow. Stop when you know exactly what comes next, maybe even mid-sentence.
Why?
It kills the blank page problem for the next day. You sit down, you have immediate momentum, you just pick up where you left off. It also prevents you from pushing past the point of good work into diminishing returns.
So at the end of the day, the only question isn't, was it good?
No. The only self-evaluation is ethical. Did I put in my time? Did I work as hard as I could? Quality, he trusts, will sort itself out across all those later drafts.
That's a huge shift, focusing on effort, not immediate results.
And once you nail that discipline, that blue collar showing up, that structure, that's when, according to Pressfield, you kind of earn the right to tap into the more mystical side of things.
Okay, here's where we shift gears quite a bit. He talks about ideas not just coming from our subconscious, but from an external source, the Muse, a goddess. That sounds pretty out there for a lot of people today.
It can, yeah. But he frames it less about literal belief in ancient deities and more about an operational truth of creativity. Meaning the moment you consciously step aside, surrender your ego, and dedicate yourself purely to serving the work itself, you open up a channel.
Yeah.
You allow something larger than your conscious self to flow through.
Like being a conduit rather than the source.
Exactly. He connects it back to the ancient Greeks, like Homer invoking the Muse at the start of the Odyssey. Sing in me, Muse.
Right, that invocation.
Uh,
Oh, divine poesy goddess, daughter of Zeus, sustain for me this song.
yeah, that's the one. It's a deliberate act of humility. It's saying, this isn't about me, it's about the story, the idea of wanting to be born.
Yeah.
You're just the midwife, in a way.
And this relates to how ideas actually arrive.
He believes so. He says ideas often whisper rather than shouting. They're subtle, fleeting, like dream fragments.
So you have to be ready to catch them.
Instantly. Have that phone ready for dictation or a notebook. If you don't capture that whisper immediately, poof, it's gone. The conscious mind, the resistance, rushes back in.
So the key is surrender. Opening that pipeline, being ready to receive.
Putting yourself at the service of that higher dimension or that deeper impulse, however you want to frame it.
But making that commitment, deciding to turn pro and really listen for that whisper, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. There can be a cost, right? Especially socially.
Oh, definitely. And this is maybe the hardest part for many people. The potential sabotage, often unintentional, from your inner circle.
He talks about friends, family, people who seem concerned.
Yeah, they say things like, are you sure about this? Or we just want you to be safe and secure. Maybe why don't you get a real job?
Sounds like genuine concern on the surface.
Sometimes it is. But Pressfield argues that often underneath, they're projecting their own fears, their own unlived lives and abandoned callings onto you. Your ambition makes them uncomfortable.
Because it highlights what they haven't done.
Exactly. He calls it the compact of mediocrity. There's often this unspoken agreement within friend groups or families. Let's all just stay comfortable, stay where we are.
And when one person tries to break out to level up,
They become a threat to that equilibrium. They're the tall poppy that needs cutting down. Think about the friend who mocks your writing schedule or constantly tempts you away from your work. It's often rooted in their own resistance.
wow, that really makes that corporation identity even more crucial. You need that mental armor against not just internal doubt, but external undermining too.
You really do. And it extends to how you handle success and failure too. The pro doesn't get too high on praise or too low on criticism.
Because external factors play such a big role.
Huge. Timing, marketing, luck. So many things influence public reception that are totally outside the quality of the work itself. The pro knows this. They focus on the work, not the unpredictable reaction to it.
So the goal isn't the bestseller list or the viral hit.
The goal is the practice, showing up tomorrow and the day after. Pressfield says he'll keep doing it until, they take me out. It's a lifelong commitment to the process.
That long-term view feels much healthier than chasing those massive dopamine spikes of sudden success. The one-hit wonders often struggle afterward, don't they?
Yeah, it's hard to replicate that initial lightning strike. Sustainable careers are built on that steady, consistent, maybe slower burn effort over years.
So bringing it all together, mastery seems to be this blend. You need
Yeah.
the discipline, the structure, the almost blue-collar work ethic of showing up and playing hurt.
Combined with that willingness to surrender the ego, to listen for the whisper, to act on faith that the muse or the idea will show up if you do.
Okay, so for you listening right now, what's the big takeaway? There's a final, pretty provocative thought in Pressfield's work about not doing your calling.
Yeah, it's quite stark. He argues that the creative energy you suppress, the calling you ignore because of resistance, it doesn't just disappear peacefully.
It turns into something else.
It turns malignant. He suggests it can morph into things like addiction, chronic anger, self-sabotage, even lashing out at others. It's energy that has to go somewhere.
So that deep frustration or anger you might feel sometimes, could it actually be your unexpressed potential fighting to get out?
That's the implication. That maybe the very persistence you feel, the fear, the doubt, the procrastination around a certain path, isn't just noise. Maybe it's the clearest sign you have.
The sign pointing to the work you absolutely must do, that's your big tree casting that big shadow.
And maybe it's time to start chopping.